Welcome to a really exciting 2-for-1 launch. Buy one, get one free. Not quite that, but I'm Paul Taggart, and I'm going to be chairing this. We've got a really interesting and diverse panel, as well as the two books. So I'll just really quickly introduce the panel, and then again, just not just themselves briefly in the talk, but on my immediate right is Nick Clark, who's writing the book Everyday Life in the Covid-19 Pandemic. And on my left, we have the home team of Jonathan Moss and Emily Robinson, who promoted the book Brexit, what the politics of being in Brexit Britain. So welcome to those two teams. And then we're really delighted to have also some contributors, other contributors. Ben Jones has come from UEA, come back from UEA because he used to be here a long time ago, he tells me. So welcome back. And Ben co-edits a series on using the Mass Observation Archive. And if you're not sure what the Mass Observation Archive is, Kirsty will reveal, Kirsty Pattrick, sorry, will reveal that in a moment. So what we're going to do is Kirsty's going to introduce the Mass Observation Archive, and then we'll have two presentations from the two books, and then comments from Ben and from Stephen Coleman if he joins us online. We're currently waiting for him to join us, but let's not worry about technology, shall we? Okay. So, Kirsty, if I hand over to you.
So I'm Kirsty Pattrick, and I'm a Mass Observation Research Manager. And I'm just going to set the scene, really, for those of you who are not too familiar with mass observation, though you can see lots of advocates in the room. So mass observation is an archive of everyday life in Britain that continues to generate new narrative material for teaching, learning and research. Founded in 1937 as an independent social research organisation, it was active until the 1950s with its roots in anthropology, sociology and documentary film. It sought to capture a record of people's thoughts, feelings and opinions at this time. Very much documented the social, political and personal aspects of everyday life. And then in 1981, the second phase of mass observation started, launched by a sociologist here at Sussex, Professor David Pocock, which I'll tell you more about in a moment. So the archive today actively continues to generate contemporary material, and we now have an archive that richly spans 85 years. We are, Mass Observation today is, it has been for many years, a registered charity, and it's in the care of the University of Sussex, and we are based across the road at the Keep. So the early phase of mass observation employed a range of methods, including traditional survey techniques by paid investigators who stood on street corners and went door to door. They also employed a national panel of self-selecting volunteer writers who responded to directive questionnaires and responded to diaries, day diaries, monthly diaries. Some wrote for a few months and some wrote for many years. And these questions in the directives, we use that term still today, ranged from what was on your mantelpiece to smoking habits, shopping, political leaders, to personal appearance and expectations during wartime. The panel, the national panel of volunteer writers were anonymous, and that meant that they provided very candid and open accounts, intimate accounts of their daily life. Then in 1981, the panel was re-established, and today we work in collaboration with researchers to generate these themed questions. And I know you've got kind of Zoom panel on the right, but you can see a selection of those themes. So we repeat themes that were of interest to our founders. We always cover royal events, we cover the NHS, we do that every 12 years. We also cover all political events, Brexit and referendum, who's been here today, and Emily and Jonathan will talk more to that. We also co-produce directives. So working closely with our engagement manager, Suzanne Rose, we have worked with those who have lived experiences of prison life, of street homelessness and of disability. So today, the material we've generated since 1981 and the contemporary material you can expect to find in the archive today that we generate are narratives in response to these directive questionnaires, with additional photographs, illustrations and artwork. Sometimes these just come in sporadically because it sparks, the writers to do so, but other topics really speak to that. So where we've been asking about the home, the bedroom, personal appearance, gardens, it really speaks to that, and we generate a lot of creative submissions. And again, I know that will touch on what Nick's going to talk about with our COVID collection. The submissions vary in length and style and format. We don't put anything on literacy. Respondents are volunteers, they don't have to respond, and you're looking at about half a page to up to 10 pages per response. There is strength, again, like the earlier phase of mass observation, with the anonymity. So all mass observers have a unique MO code. We know their key biographical information. We also have enhanced biographical data, which is optional, that they provide around ethnicity, disability, sexual orientation. But ultimately, they know that they can write quite frankly and candidly with that anonymity held. And there's also a longitudinal strength, which we're seeing more researchers use MO in that way, because volunteers write for years, if not decades. And only last week we heard of a mass observer who's just recently died last month, and he's been writing since 1981, very prolifically. So we've got a huge amount of material there. The panel at the moment is around 500 writers, and you're looking at about a 30% response rate. So just, I'm aware of time. Mass observing COVID, this touches on what Nick's going to be talking about. During the pandemic, the mass observation team were able to continue actively whilst working from home. So the directives were still generated every spring, summer and autumn. They went out by email and by post to our mass observation panel. And we also, not quite sure what we were thinking at the time, but we did an open diary call for diaries more generally to come in, and we did our annual 12th of May day diary call, which normally you're looking at a few hundred responses. I think we peaked at 1,000 before, but in 2020 we got 5,000, which Nick has been reading through. So we've got a substantial collection now of nearly 10,000 documents, and we're about to launch a new database, hopefully in the next month, which will make all of this material open access and available. It's all been digitized, it's all been catalogued, and that will be publicly available. So finally, it just leaves me to say that the 12th of May is looming. It's next Sunday, and we'd love as many people to take part as possible. And so we're seeking, individuals to take part, but groups, schools, clubs. So, we're active on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, website. So please spread the word. We'd very much appreciate it. And I'll leave it there.